I got a great week of work done in the garden this week. The first job I done was harvesting the broccoli. Some of it was a little past its perfect stage for harvesting, and others was just bang on. I think I got about 12 or 14 heads of broccoli out of this 8 by 5 bed. And of course it was far too much for eating fresh, but I did keep some out for eating fresh, and the rest was blanched just for 2 minutes in boiling water and frozen then in portion sized bags.
Hello everyone, you're welcome back to the Irish Mammy channel. We're in a very warm, as you can see by my cheeks, greenhouse or polytunnel today. We've had lots of harvesting done this week. I harvested the most of my broccoli. I got a start on my tomato plants, and if you can see behind me, I'm ready to plant out my second bed of tomatoes. So while I get on with that, I'm going to show you what I got up to during the week.
I was delighted to get this bed prepped, amended and replanted all in one go. I removed the paper mulch just to allow the amendments into the soil and to allow me to work the soil a little bit as well. The paper mulch isn't just as effective as I'd have liked, but at the same time it's better than nothing. So I'm going to stick with it for now and see how it goes through the summer. As you can see, I worked into the darkness on this one. The next day I got to clear out one of these beds. This was one that had kale and sprouting broccoli and Brussels sprouts in it. The Brussels sprouts never produced anything for me, and the kale had all gone to flower, and it was really quite a big mess actually. Lots of weeds in it as well, chickweed just going crazy in it, which is another good reason to put down the paper mulch. Here I am again amending the beds, and like I said, I will give more detail on this later on. Still quite a few weeds in the bed, but this is one of the advantages of using the paper mulch. I have most of the big weeds pulled out, but the small ones will just die off, especially because they are just annual weeds like chickweed. They'll die off quickly enough once the paper is covering them. And again, a good watering required in this bed too. I've actually amended the drip system since to water a little bit more frequently. And you can see here too that the raking does help do a number on some of these weeds as well. At least it takes the bad look off the bed. I'm hoping that by adding a double layer of the paper, it should help prevent the weeds from getting through. Of course, there's going to be holes in this paper around where the tomatoes are planted through, and there's going to be some weeds that will poke through that. But otherwise, depending on how it goes through the summer, I may just add another layer or two as well during the summer. I started to sort my tomatoes out into different trays according to where they were going. So one tray was being used to plant now over in the polytunnel. Another tray kept for planting my third bed in the polytunnel, and another tray to be given away to a friend. I also had to sort out which ones I was bringing home to plant in the greenhouse at home, even though I have plenty over there as well. So just a close-up of how I'm planting these. I cut out a wee flap out of the paper first and just fold it back. And then I just dig up pretty much the size of the pot, and I just push that compost back to leave room, and I just clear it a little bit further with my hands to make sure there's plenty of room for the size of plant that I'm putting in. And it's quite a snug fit, which is what you want, so that the roots have good contact with the soil. Cover it over a little bit with some of the soil from the bed and just put the flap back over. In this bed I'm growing 5 plants, each of 3 different varieties. All these varieties are for preserving and cooking with, and they are Mortgage Lifter, Amish Paste and Super Marmont.
Okay, so you can see the planting done there behind me. I'm just going to bring you around and give you a quick tour of the greenhouse, the way it's going at the minute. So this is the first bed that you see me planting. I actually planted into the dark here one night, which is the usual story for me at this stage, I'm afraid, gardening into the late hours of the night. This variety is all Roma VF, it's called. The VF means it's resistant to verticillum and fusarium, I think. Now I could be wrong in the names of those, but I see already I have one missing. Something chomped it off at the bottom of the stalk there, so thankfully I have still got some plants left to replace them. These are a semi-determinate variety, semi-bush variety rather, so that'll suit me lovely because I can just let them grow away and I'll not have to side shoot them. Because realistically, even if they weren't that type of variety, they end up being left anyway. So at least this time I'll not have to feel guilty about not side shooting on time. Here's my peach tree here. You may have remembered I had this in the greenhouse at home. I've moved it up here and I have this barrel to plant it in, but I just haven't planted yet. Just to have to get the soil. But it has quite a number of fruit on it. Probably not a good idea letting it go to fruit the first year, but I don't have the heart to pull the fruit off it. And this is the cauliflower, the famous cauliflower that has been planted I think since October. And just as I decided I was ready to pull it out, it started to form heads, don't you know? So I'm not sure if you'll actually see a head in this one. Yeah. Try and get you down and focused. So they're just starting to form those tiny little heads, so we're talking another 2 or 3 weeks, but it's actually going to suit perfect because I'm going to keep that bed for my peppers and chilies, and my peppers and chilies will hold out till closer to the end of May. So just all worked out for the better, that I will have I'll have that bed cleared out by the time the peppers are ready to go in. And this is the broccoli that you saw me harvesting as well. So I have it all harvested now at this stage, and I've left it just waiting on the secondary side shoots. Now I'm not going to leave it terribly long, so you can see I have one side shoot there growing already. And then I have a few shooting out. Where did I see one? There's the little one there. So that has shot out from the main stem there as well. And I see another one around here. So the most I will leave this now is another week. There's another one sprouting down there as well. So this will be the next bed to clear, because I need to get another bed of tomatoes planted in here. So hopefully I'll get enough side shoots just to even enough just to do one more meal or something will be plenty. And then I get it cleared out and replanted with tomatoes. And this is the tomato bed that I'm just after planting. These tomatoes were a little bit leggier, so they're a bit sad looking at the minute. I do have the strings here. I haven't put them on them yet. So normally I put the strings down in under the plant when I'm planting it, but this year I didn't, simply because I have the paper mulch here, and it was taking all my attention to get the paper mulch done right without ripping it too much. So I've decided what I'm going to do is tie the strings to the base of the plant, just as they need it. Now these need it already, as you can see from them flopping over, but they were also dry over in the greenhouse as well. So I've them watered in well. I'm hoping they'll perk up a wee bit. And I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm actually exhausted because the heat in this polytunnel is outrageous, even with the sides open, both sides. It's terribly hot. So doing any little bit of work in a hot polytunnel doesn't belong taking your energy, zapping your energy. So I will go through and take the lower leaves off all of these plants and add the string to the bottom of them then, and wind them around the string. What else was I going to say? So you saw in the video there I fed them all with so the first feed I put on them was my seaweed manure, which is a high nitrogen feed. Now it does have phosphorus and potassium as well, but in lesser amounts, and I only put a tiny sprinkling of it on, and I put maybe slightly more on this bed because it had been filled with brassicas beforehand, and as you know, brassicas use a lot of nitrogen, so I put a little bit more of the nitrogen feed on this than the first bed. But then I followed with blood, fish and bone, again not too much really, it's just because there's already some in the seaweed manure. I just added a little bit extra just to help the plants root in a little bit better. And then finally I added some ashes from the fire. I think I said this before, probably in my strawberry video, that I used the ashes from our wood burning stove because they are high in potash or potassium. And any flowering or fruiting plant needs lots of potassium or potash. They're the same thing, they're just called different names in different regions. So I gave a good feed of potash to both of the beds because of course they're flowering plants to produce lots of fruit. And after a while, probably in about a month to 6 weeks time, I will start a regular feeding schedule then of a liquid fertilizer which is also high in potash. I think there should be enough nutrition in the ground to get them grown to a certain stage, so 4 to 6 weeks there should be enough nutrition in the soil, and then after that start the liquid feed schedule, and that will be the same for the peppers and chilies as well. Now over here I have my brassicas that I replanted If you remember, I had planted my own, I think it was around October, and they all bolted. I then bought cabbage plants, cabbage starts or seedlings, and put them in the ground, and you can see my red cabbage has bolted again, but my green cabbage is coming along lovely. It's actually looking super healthy there and starting to head up as well, so hopefully I'll get a crop of green cabbage yet. And then now the last bed is the early potatoes. So they're quite sporadic. You can see a nice plant there and there, but after that each hole that's coming along there should have a plant in it. Now some of them have tiny, like there's you can see there's a tiny little one in that hole, but I have several of the holes along here with no plants at all yet in them, and I don't honestly know what the problem is, because my colleague over here planted potatoes, I think it was the same week, maybe only a day or two after me, and the plants are thriving. So that's it from me from the Polytunnel today. Just keep slugging away at the work every week now at this stage. I need to get my greenhouse planted at home. I need to get some more seeds sown, and the big project of the year, getting my ridges redone out in the field, that process has started. So my main crop potatoes aren't in yet at all, so that space will be for the main crop potatoes. While it is quite late to get potatoes in the ground, I have done them this late before and later and got potatoes. So those are the projects coming up. If you liked this video, press the thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I have now over 600 subscribers, but I can still see that over 60% of my viewers aren't subscribed yet. So just a reminder, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. You just have to set up an account with YouTube. But we all have accounts set up everywhere now, so that's not really that big of a deal anymore. So I would urge you to subscribe, please, if you haven't already. And thanks again for watching, and follow along on the growing journey for 2023. Bye bye.